Hello viewers, my name is Zach Hardy, I'm with the Wrestle Target, and if you're like a lot of wrestling fans that I've seen on Instagram or on Twitter, questioning why the WWE and Saudi Arabia are such a big topic of conversation, and why people are calling for the delay or rescheduling or just downright canceling of the Crown Jewel pay-per-view, and you may not know the little insights and why it's all happening, allow me to explain. Here's why this is happening. For starters, if you're not following along with the Saudi Arabian, let's just call it circumstance, then you might probably be wondering why the Saudi Arabian deal with the WWE is in such jeopardy. Well, for starters, let me clue you in. This runs deeper than professional wrestling, so prepare for a little bit of a joyride. The United States and the Saudi Arabian government have a, well, let's just put it as an interesting relationship. Now, when it comes down to it, it's kind of dependent on the day. We give them weaponry, they pay us with oil and money, and that's about that. Saudi Arabia is not a very, I guess, free country. It is one of the least free Arab countries in the world right now. Women were just recently allowed to drive. They still have to be accompanied outside into public events by a male counterpart. It is not the most wonderful place to be. Now, when it comes down to the whole situation in specific at hand, a reporter, a U.S. resident, permanent U.S. resident, Jamal Khashoggi, who has been very outspoken against the Saudi Arabian government and the way that Saudi Arabia does things. Ended up going to the Saudi consulate. I'm sorry, Saudi consulate in Turkey, Istanbul, Turkey, which is essentially just the Saudi Arabia building in a different country that is not named Saudi Arabia. He went into the building for divorce papers, so that way he could finalize his divorce, and just never came back out. His fiancée, girlfriend at the time, once the embassy had closed, she noticed that Khashoggi had not left the building, and I guess he never did leave the building. Now, for a while, it was a case where he had gone missing and nobody really knew what to make of the situation until fingers started being pointed out as the Saudi Arabian government was, I guess, suspicious in the handling, and there was overwhelming ideas that the Saudi Arabian government had plotted and gone through with an idea to kill Jamal Khashoggi. Now, everything kind of escalated after a while. I filmed a video last week about the situation as a whole, but nothing was really finalized at the moment. I did post the episode or the segment from the Hardy Complex on YouTube, so if you want to go watch my immediate thoughts on that, the video is up on this channel. Now more news has come out. The Saudi Arabian government has prepared a statement putting the original blame was to be put on an interrogation gone wrong that eventually killed Khashoggi, but now they're stating that it was a fight that broke out in the Saudi consulate in Turkey that killed Jamal Khashoggi. There are now 18 suspects, and there have been some grim details released about the slaying. From everything that they cut off his fingers and beheaded him, to a doctor's telling everybody that was, I guess, doing or going forth with the operation to listen to music as it would ease the tension, along with an individual that was a part of the team asking to kind of do it away from him, to which another person responded that if you wanted to live when you got back to Arabia, you would shut up. So, very, right off the bat, red flags. Now it's just kind of a case as to who ordered it. The overwhelming fingers were being pointed out at Prince bin Salman, Mohammed bin Salman, I believe his name is, Prince bin Salman of Saudi Arabia, as the one who ordered the attack. But when it comes down to it, they're putting the blame on a high-ranking official, or just a fight gone wrong. The blame is, I guess, expected to be put on a high-ranking official. I guess they're supposed to, or expected to take the fall. Meanwhile, they're stating that it was a fight that broke out. It's a very, very, very blurry situation. Originally, the Saudi Arabian government kind of restricted access into the investigation, but now they have allowed for a more full and in-depth investigation. Khashoggi was never shown leaving the building. It was expected that he was dismembered, which is essentially the chopping, if you don't know the term, chopping off of the limbs. So pretty much chopped off the head, chopped off the legs, chopped off the arms, and stuffed it maybe in a barrel or whatever, transported out of the building under secrecy and disposed of elsewhere. It is now widely believed that he is dead. The Saudi Arabian government has stated that he is dead. Donald Trump has talked about how the fact that it is a sad situation. He's expecting, or he's stated that he will have severe repercussions for the Saudi Arabian government, but when it comes down to him and every other president that has gone beforehand, we've had some shady deals with the Saudi Arabian government beforehand, so I would not be shocked if those strict punishments were to not really be carried out to their fullest. They haven't been in the number of years that they've been stated by. So when it comes down to it, the big case that involves the WWE is the fact that it falls so close to their Crown Jewel pay-per-view, which they have slated for the beginning of November. Now, this investigation is still going on. The U.S. Senate and Congress have now stepped in trying to convince the WWE to sit this one out and put Crown Jewel elsewhere. I have not heard as to whether they're going to move the pay-per-view or whether they're going to cancel it or they're going to reschedule it. I have no clue what's going on with that. But the overall question now is, why does the WWE get away with this? Now, usually they tend to get away with a lot. Over pushing performers on the roster that tend to benefit themselves more so than they benefit the overall story and product, which show a lack of care or effort in the product, which has turned many viewers, especially myself, off from the overall product, and they never really got a lot of flack for it. It was kind of like this thing that nobody really knew about because the overall media doesn't really give a damn about the WWE. They don't really give a damn about pro wrestling, which you can't really blame them for because, football and basketball and baseball and hell, even hockey are probably much more popular than the WWE, plus the WWE is not a sport, so there's no reason to really cover them in depth as you would a bunch of other sports. Now, when it comes down to this case in particular, it's much different because this is much bigger than just the WWE. This is a WWE and foreign affairs in the United States government situation that we're dealing with here. This is very open to scrutiny, and I think the first big piece of scrutiny that the WWE had gotten was at the hands of John Oliver from his Last Week Tonight broadcast that was put on this past Sunday night, in which he criticized the WWE for their monitoring of the situation and talking about how their propaganda during their Greatest Royal Rumble show definitely showed a lack of actual care and idea to the actual situation in Saudi Arabia. Now they're getting a lot of flack for this, and of course now they're starting to do something now that their overall business aspect and venture into Saudi Arabia is being looked at thoroughly by more than just wrestling fans. Now this was the same thing that happened, what was it, I think it was a year ago, maybe? A year ago, 2 years ago? It was something along the line. I just remembered it and I forgot it now, but they were called out for something. It was... I'll remember it eventually in the video, but now we're talking about how the WWE gets away with these kind of things, and just overall why they tend to continue to do these sort of things. And the overall answer is us, really. We're the individuals that keep saying, oh, we're going to stop watching, we will cancel our subscription to the WWE network, unless it's something that hurts the WWE's business model. Unless we stop giving them money, they're going to continue to do this. Now, this is most likely going to turn into one of my usual rants about how the WWE is not worth the money or the effort or the time, so why bother? But, hear me out. When it comes down to it, if you want the WWE to stop, you need to make it clear. Oh, it was the Fabulous Moolah Invitational. Only until their sponsors were threatening to pull out did they change up and cancel, or I'm sorry, close off the name of the Battle Royal. You get the fucking point. Unless the WWE's business model, their sponsors, their airtime, their network deals, unless something critical to the WWE business side of things is jeopardized, the WWE will not change a damn thing. I can tell you this much. If Snickers or whomever the fuck was sponsoring WWE at this moment threatened to pull out if Roman Reigns walked out of the Crown Jewel pay-per-view event as the Universal Champion, they would take that title off of Roman Reigns in a heartbeat. That's because it comes down to the bottom line, where it doesn't matter what the product is, it doesn't matter who is holding the titles, it matters about the bottom line. Hence why they're going to Saudi Arabia. They don't need the money. They struck up the multi-billion-dollar deal with Fox Network for their SmackDown broadcast alone. They don't need the Saudi Arabian money. It was eventually greed money, or it was greed money that they were chasing, and now it's turned into blood money that they're chasing. So it's obviously a bad situation, and while I feel bad for them having to be involved in something much higher than pro wrestling, you gotta fucking admit, they kind of broke this upon themselves. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, alright, wait, this all sounds really, really bad. Well, guess what? You're really, really right. It is really, really bad. It is a horrible situation. It's a really messed up and fucked up situation that little good can come out of. Now, when it comes down to it, the options are back out of the pay-per-view and reschedule it, or relocate it, or cancel it, and then lose out on the Saudi Arabian money, or go to Saudi Arabia and go through with the show, but at the same time then face a lot of criticism for your outright and obvious quest for just more money that is absolutely not needed nor warranted. It's a tough situation, and I don't see the WWE going to Saudi Arabia and being able to get away from a lot of criticism. I think when it comes down to it, if they go to Saudi Arabia, there's going to be a lot of propaganda spread throughout the Crown Jewel pay-per-view. It's the same thing as if a show were to emanate out of North Korea. They would say a bunch of great shit about North Korea. That would be a part of the deal. You get criticized for that no matter the case may be, because North Korea is a horrible place. So if you're saying on a broadcast that North Korea is this wonderful destination, that is the most propaganda you can pull. And they do the same thing with Saudi Arabia like they did in the Greatest Royal Rumble. I wouldn't expect them to do anything less at Crown Jewel unless they struck up some deal to elicit the right to go to Saudi Arabia. Like, hey, we're coming here, we're sacrificing a lot, this is the deal we're going to pull here. No propaganda. I don't think they'll do that, since the money won't necessarily be all there if they were to put that forth. But nevertheless, if they do go to Saudi Arabia, that propaganda will follow, and John Oliver and Last Week Tonight will not be the only ones calling out WWE on their bullshit. Now, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, why does WWE get away with this? It's because we let them. We complain about it, we bitch about it on Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat, and we do absolutely nothing about it. I've talked many times about politics and about how I hate the fact that they're going in the direction that they're going, but I go out and I vote, and I go out and I put my vote into the ballot box, and I do whatever I can to elicit some sort of knowledge on the overall position as a whole. I try to do something. When it comes down to unitards, I've turned this into a fucking business. I've gotten off my ass and I've done something. And I think with a lot of us, we just sit on Twitter and on Instagram and we bitch and we whine and we complain and we moan about how the WWE is doing this or that and all the other bullshit, and we don't do anything to solve it. You know what I mean? I think we got lucky with John Oliver and Last Week Tonight kind of blowing a shot in their fucking shoulders, because we weren't going to get anything done. But what we did when it came down to the Fabulous Moolah Battle Royale, we contacted the advertisers, we contacted the sponsors, and after they got word of it and they threatened to pull out, then the WWE did something. We elicited a change because we did something. And if we just do something, if we get to the WWE's bottom line, which is money, if we sacrifice the bottom line, at that point in time, they're going to fucking listen. But we don't. We still buy tickets to their shows. We still we still pay every month for the WWE Network subscription. I mean, I'm a part of the problem as well. I mean, I don't watch their shows, but I still pay for the WWE Network. It's just that's just the case. I don't buy any of their merchandise. I don't watch their weekly shows. I watch the pay-per-views and NXT from time to time, and that's it. But with us continuing to pour money into the WWE network, us continuously watching the weekly shows, us continuously going to the live events, so on and so forth, the WWE doesn't learn because they just keep taking our money. It's just we're paying them to give us what we are complaining about. You know, we pay to go complain about something that we know is going to happen. So why pay for it to begin with? Well, we're stupid. That's the best fucking opportunity I can muster up. We're a generation that is built off of complaining and not doing a damn thing about it. And that's kind of spilled and bled over into the wrestling industry. And if you want something to change, if you want to elicit change, then please do something to cause that change. Get people involved in the overall circumstance and the overall situation. Contact the sponsors of WWE. Do whatever the fuck you may need to do. Contact investors. Tell them about your gripes and about how long they've been gone uncared of by the WWE, and they'll see just how little effort they're putting into their business model. I've been a huge advocate for the fact that the WWE will die one day. A company will come along and do what WWE does better than the WWE does. And then the same will follow after that company, and so on and so forth. New Japan could kill WWE, and then whatever company comes after New Japan will kill New Japan. It's the business evolution. It's the natural selection of business, and that's just the case. The more we just continue to pour money into their accounts is the more we just prolong their lifespan. And if we want something to be done, we have to elicit that change ourselves somehow. Contact sponsors, contact investors, contact anybody that can keep their bottom line less fortified than it is, and that change will start coming. But until we do that, they will continue to get away with it. I don't see it changing anytime soon, but that's just my opinion. What's your opinion? Do you think the WWE will survive continuing forward? Do you think that there's something we can do? Do you think we've been doing enough? Do you think we can't do anything more? Sound off in the comments below. Let me know. I'll be commenting back to you on this video. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. You can follow me on Instagram at TheZackhardy and on Twitter at ZACHARYSERRA. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. I am Zach Hardy, and as always, I am signing off.